Hello, YouTube. My name is Carnivore Tam, and this is my carnivore testimony. First, I'd like to say thank you to Carrie at Homestead How for giving me the opportunity to advocate for health and wellness and to help support raising funds for the documentary regarding the carnivore diet. So, thank you, Carrie. So, my highest weight was 360 pounds. I am now down to 235 pounds. That's a significant weight loss, and I am very, very excited about that. But I just want you to know that my journey's not over. I still have at least about maybe 70 pounds to go. So I'm still on my journey. I'd like to take you with me. In the past, I would have never recorded a video to place on YouTube. I'd be too nervous. I'm way too self-conscious, but this mission is so important. And Carrie at Homestead How has such a passion and enthusiasm for getting this word out, along with the carnivore diet allowing me to be less anxious. I am stepping out, putting myself out there so that we can spread the word. With the amount of teasing and bullying and the damage done to my self-esteem after failing diet after diet, by the time I was in my late teens and early 20s, I did develop an eating disorder. I suffered from bulimia, and that was a really hard time for me. I never thought that I would go that route, but I was desperate, and it just made me sick. So, I did get help for that through counseling and therapy, and was even put on prescription diet pills. I was put on the phentermine, and the problem with that type of situation is that while you're taking pills or medication to aid in weight loss, it might work in the short term, but as soon as you stop taking them, the weight just comes right back and even more. So that again was just another failure. So since that time, I have continued to have disordered eating, going through these cycles of binging, and then going through cycles of severe restriction. I mean, it's just been all over the place. I have not been able to be consistent with any plan, and especially a plan that actually was healthy for me. So carnivore diet has provided stability for me. It has changed my relationship with food completely. Food to me now is nourishment. It's energy. It's fuel. It's what I need to sustain myself from day to day. It's no longer my entertainment or my coping skill or my best friend. No, I now have many best friends. They're called carnivores and ketovores and ketogenic lifestyle coaches, and this community has really come through for me. It's really been encouraging and really supportive, and I'm just glad that I found this community before it was too late. I do wish I had began documenting my journey from day one, but that's okay because I'm only halfway through and I'm starting now to document. And I am going to be posting videos of encouragement, tips, new information, and also just updates on how this is going for me, because my next goal is to get out of the 200s and continue to reduce the medications that I am taking. There are so many things that have changed, along these last 543 days. I always had really bad eczema. That's completely cleared up. I still wear glasses, but my eyesight has gotten better. The other thing is that my gums would always bleed terribly. I hated to floss. I hated to go to the dentist. I just couldn't stand it because my gums were always inflamed and always swollen and tender. Now I floss every day, no bleeding. My gums are healthy. My last dental visit was perfect. I had no cavities, and I got the clean bill of health from my dentist. Another thing is that Carrie will often show you his bag of medications. Well, here's mine. Look at all that stuff. I do still take a couple of things, but for the most part, these medications have now become unnecessary. Now, I do struggle from some mental health issues as well. I have major depressive disorder, severe anxiety, and just chronically fatigued, and I've been taking antidepressants and mood stabilizers since I was about 15 years old. And since being on carnivore, I do still need my medications, but I have noticed a significant improvement in my depression and also in my ability to just stay motivated and get things done. It's not perfect. I'm still healing, but I am able to see an improvement. Also, I just want to mention that it doesn't matter how many times you have failed other diets or other plans. It doesn't matter if you've, gained and lost and yo-yo dieted all your life. This is not a diet. We use the word diet because that explains the way someone eats, but this is truly a lifestyle. Once you're able to get in the groove and you get fat adapted and you get going, you won't want to ever go back. Sugar is poison, sugar is addictive, and it just makes you feel really, really bad. I hope that you're ready. I hope that you're encouraged, and I hope that we're all able to provide you with some motivation and information so that you can also begin to experience your optimal health. I remember back in kindergarten feeling shame, embarrassment, and just feeling completely out of place because I was the only child that needed help with their uniform. I could not get the dress on. I could not get it to zip up. I had to have a person on each side of me to pull the dress down while I was holding my arms up. Eventually, I needed to have it custom made so that I had an appropriate uniform that I can get in and out of on my own. By the time I was in 5th grade, I had already exceeded 200 pounds, and I was one of those rare children at age 11 in a room full of adults at a Weight Watchers meeting. From that point on, I continued to try every diet possible. I did, of course, the Weight Watchers was the first. I did the cabbage soup diet, the Hollywood diet. Jenny Craig even got a job there by the time I was 16. I did fasting. I also tried vegetarian. I did vegan for an entire year. I've done liquid diets only, or got completely into the juicing, and never have I been able to stick with a program for longer than a year. So this is the very first time I've experienced consistency and success. I don't have to deprive myself. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I feel completely content, better than content. I feel satiated. I don't feel like I'm starving. And this is something that I'm able to stick with for the rest of my life. I have battled with serious health conditions. Between the ages of 15 and 30, I have been diagnosed with PCOS, chronic migraines, chronic insomnia, severe sleep apnea, high blood pressure, chronic pain. There's so many. GERD. I've had ulcers. I have been miserable. And as my weight continued to increase over the years, my self-esteem continued to decrease. I literally began to hate myself. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I hated looking at my body. And it was just a really challenging and dark time. I had already failed so many diets that I had really given up hope. And during one of my darkest days, I just prayed to God and I just said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do. My doctor wanted me to have gastric bypass surgery. However, I have worked in the medical industry for a number of years, and I have seen people regain their weight. I have seen people be deficient in their vitamins and nutrients. I have seen people have so many complications that it just wasn't worth the risk for me personally. So I didn't consider that a viable option. So I began my internet search for alternate ways of eating, alternate plans for health and wellness. And that's where I ran into the ketogenic diet. As I began to research that, I started watching YouTube videos about keto. And of course, like many of you, I ran across Dr. Ken Berry. I began watching Dr. Berry's videos as if my life depended on it. And it did. My life did depend on it. Because if I didn't make changes and make them soon, I likely would not be sitting here recording this video for you. I just am not a person that can do things in moderation. I'm either all in or all out. I don't have the level of discipline and self-control to take one bite of a cookie and then leave the rest alone. That's just not me. So when I began listening to Dr. Berry's videos and I came across the carnivore diet, that just instantly struck a chord with me. Like, I just knew at that moment that this is what I had to try. I had never heard of it. It sounded ridiculous, but I just felt right away that this was going to be something I could be successful at. So I did not, go to keto and then carnivore and ease into it. I just went all in, from the standard American diet on March 16th to complete carnivore on March 17th. And let me tell you, it has been such an amazing journey. I have been able to completely get off of my blood pressure medication. I was on 2, and I was able to get rid of them both. There are times where I have just experienced chronic nausea and chronic constipation. There were times I spent 14 days waiting for a bowel movement that never happened, and it would land me in the emergency room. I don't have to do that anymore. People think that if you eat meat and only meat, that you're not getting fiber and that it's going to cause you to have constipation, but it's quite opposite. It actually relieves constipation. It actually gives your body the nutrients that it needs to function properly. I used to be in severe pain. I was on narcotics for a number of years for pain control, pain patches. I've tried acupuncture, massage therapy, physical therapy, and it wasn't until I eliminated all of those toxic foods from my diet that I experienced some pain relief naturally. I also used a walker by the time I was 38 years old. I had a rollator walker because my weight had gotten to the point where it was pressing down on my spine so hard that my bulging discs were compressing the nerves in my lower back. That caused pain down both of my legs, and it caused my left leg in particular to be severely weakened, and I began to have falls. And I'd be, walking along, in pain, and then it would just give out on me. So I had to rely on a walker. I felt like an old lady. No offense to old ladies, but I was only 38, and I shouldn't have needed the use of a mobility device. So I no longer need that, and I can move around freely. And there's just so much to this that I'd love to share with you. There have been several people that I look up to on YouTube that have inspired and encouraged me. I don't know them personally, but I do feel like they're family. Having a support system and being a part of a community has been a tremendous help for me and many others. A few people that I would recommend you looking up would be Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, of course, Carrie at Homestead How, Carnivorous Me. There's so many, Nisha Berry, and just to mention that the carnivore diet is a part of a ketogenic diet. The carnivore diet is a subgroup of the ketogenic diet. There's a spectrum. Some people, can have some carbohydrates and high protein and high fat and be fine. Others have to dial that down to not having any carbs, and there's many stops in between. Personally, I need to have as few carbs as possible, so I try to keep it at 0, and that is what works for me. Once you become fat adapted, you begin to lose the cravings for sugar and bread and all of the bad stuff. You begin to realize what those things do to your body once you eat them, and it's a turnoff. Once you begin to feel how your body is supposed to feel on a proper human diet, you won't want to go back. No one can make you make these type of changes, but if you're willing and if you have the desire, just give it a try. You will not regret it. I'd like to be a support to anyone who needs it, and I would also like to have an accountability system so that I can continue to make progress and be consistent and continue to live my best life. And I'm hoping to provide encouragement and inspiration to anyone interested in a lifestyle change for the better. So come on over and check out my channel, Finally Loving Myself, and see the rest of my journey. I'm Carnivore Tam, and thank you for listening.